guys, welcome back. So we are on yet another Cozy Escape Awards theme for us to vote on. Today's theme, as you can tell from the title, is all about cozy mystery destinations. We will be talking about 3 books that are up for voting that all deal with destinations, which is perfect because armchair travel cozies are just ultimate peak escapism because you're literally traveling to a different place. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I urge you to go take a look at the first video that I posted talking all about the Cozy Escape Awards that we are having coming up. As you can probably see if you've looked at my channel, I have released a handful of videos that touch on different themes that we will all be voting the best book on based on the specific cozy mystery theme. Now, if you don't want to watch that video, I'll give you a quick high-level recap so that you have a little bit of context for this one. So first of all, let's talk about dates. So we will be having the live show on November 15th on Courtney's channel over at Courtney. By the way, all of the links are going to be in the description. You don't have to memorize any of this. Where she'll basically be announcing the winners for all 15 categories. So I've got a handful of themes that I've gone through. TJ over at Beach Bum Bookworm has a handful, and of course Courtney over at Courtney has a handful as well. That way you can kind of bop around, check out the themes on each of our channels, and vote on what your favorite is, the creme de la creme. And like I said, today's video, which is going to be actually the final one on my channel before we get into voting, is all about destination cozy. So I've got 3 books here that I'm going to run through and let you all know what they are. That way you can decide which one you want to vote on when the time comes. So that said, let's get into it. Okay, so before we begin, I will give my disclaimer that I have given for every video, and that is to say that if you have not read the rest of the cozies in this series, you do not have to do that in order to pick up whatever cozy the title is if it's not book 1. So for example, the 2 out of the 3 on this list are not the first book in the series. That's okay. You don't have to have read the first books in order to enjoy them if you want to pick them up before voting. So we've got Dying to Retire, which is book 21 in the Murder, She Wrote series. We have Taken In, which is part of the Southern Sewing Circle Mystery series. Oh my God, say that 3 times fast. It's book 9. And then finally we have Aloha, Alibi, which is the first book in the series. So let's talk briefly about what each of the books is about, so that way you know and you can make an educated vote. So first up, we've got Dying to Retire, which is part of Murder, She Wrote. And in this one, our girl Jessica has traveled to Florida to unfortunately attend the funeral of one of her friends. The thing is, when she gets there, she realizes that her friend may not have passed from natural circumstances. There may have been some suspicions behind their death. And of course, Jessica wants to investigate and really get to the bottom of what happened. This one is set in the backdrop of sunny Florida. So if you are eager to have some sunshine and you want to read this before voting, by all means. I know we're in full-on autumn. I'm thriving and enjoying it, but hey, where you are, you might be sick of the rain or the dreariness or the darkness. So this would be perfect to pick up if you wanted to read it before the vote, after the vote, who knows? Just vote. Okay, so let's move on to the next book, which is called Taken In. Like I said, it's part of the Southern Sewers Circle. Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised I said that without stuttering. So in this one, we are actually traveling back up north, but it takes place in Manhattan. And so in this one, we have our amateur sleuth, Tori. She is part of the Southern Circle group. Her and her friend are going to be on a talk show in New York. And the thing is, when they're there, her friend decides to meet up with a man that she's been chatting with online. I know that's a thing these days. Totally fine, but you got to be careful because what ends up happening here, not only does the guy end up being a con man, but he gets murdered as well. So Tori's friend is, of course, the #1 suspect because you know, everything looks real suspicious happening right now. So what starts off as like, hey, we're going to go on a girls trip to New York, has now turned into Tori having to help clear her friend's name, all while doing this in the concrete jungle that is Manhattan. And so calamity ensues, basically. Last up, we have Aloha, Alibi. Now, as I'm sure you can tell from the title, this one is set in the Aloha state. It's set in Hawaii. And what we have in in this one. Like I said, it's the first book in the Charlotte Gibson mystery series. And our amateur sleuth, her name is Charlotte. She ends up moving to Hawaii because a mobster is after her. And so she basically has to do her own kind of witness protection kind of thing and hightail it out of town. She lands up in Hawaii, which that's not really a bad place to lay low, if I may say so. Unfortunately, she arrives with like $6 to her name, and that means she has to stay with her mom, which, you know, when you're an adult and you're moving back in with your parents, be prepared to be littered with questions, because that's exactly what's happening in Charlotte's situation. Her mom is all up in her business. Needless to say, Charlotte is ready to start her own life and move out. Problem is, homegirl doesn't have any money. So when an opportunity presents itself for her to maybe make a little, she jumps on it. However, here's the opportunity. A local businessman winds up dead, and the company that he works for has basically put out a reward for the person who can solve his murder. And so Charlotte's like, I am desperate enough to try this. So she teams up with a couple of friends that she's made to hopefully solve this murder so that she can use that reward money to basically start her life in Hawaii. This one is obviously it's a destination themed cozy, but it's also really humorous. So if that's something that's your bag, then definitely feel free to check this one out before the voting begins. If you've already read it, great. But if you haven't, it's an awesome one to add to your TBR in general. So speaking of TBRs, I'm sure by now, if you all have been kind of following along and bopping around our channels, you probably have a notebook chock full of cozy mysteries added to your TBR. I know I do, because full disclaimer, I have not read all of these. However, they are all solid picks. I guarantee it. So go forth and vote. Again, you have until November 15th when the winners will be announced. And on top of that, feel free to drop in the comments below other destination themed cozies that you think are really good that aren't part of this list. We might use it later on, or at the very least, other people will have kind of books in the same category if they want to go ahead and add them to their TBR. So I hope you guys have enjoyed all of this so far. It's a lot of categories. It's so fun if you are a cozy mystery fan, because you're getting recommendations left and right, and at the end of the day we have this big awards and all these categories for you all to choose from. So if you haven't watched the other videos, I urge you to. Again, I will leave all of the description links and all of that below, so you're not having to memorize anything or like rewind this video and write down anything that I've said. But yeah, I hope to see you all there with voting. I will most likely have an announcement on my Instagram just to kind of remind everybody about the voting, so that way you won't miss it in case you follow me there. So in the meantime, I guess happy reading, happy voting. I will talk to you all later. Bye.